Welcome to the Holistic Kid Show. My name is Zane.
My name is Abdullah.
And I'm Imad.
We're the Holistic Kids here to educate us kids from the inside out. Most of us, it's back to school season.
Oh no, don't remind me. I love the summer. How did the summer fly so fast?
Well, there's one thing most kids can look forward to when they're at school.
Really? What?
Sports.
I can't hear you right now. The sound just went out. I don't know. I still.
Hello?
Oh, there you are.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
You can hear us now?
Now I can hear you.
Perfect.
Yeah, I couldn't hear what you just said the last couple of minutes.
Oh, we should go back.
No, yeah.
Let's do
Please.
Let's just do it again. Just do it again.
Okay. Don't remind me.
Just start from the beginning.
Welcome to the Holistic Kid Show. My name is Zane.
My name's Abdullah.
And I'm Imad.
We're the Holistic Kids here to educate us kids from the inside out. For most of us, it's back to school season.
Oh no, don't remind me. I love the summer. How did the summer fly by so fast?
Well, there's one thing most kids can look out for when they're in school.
Really? What?
Well, sports, getting active, having fun, but with sports comes injuries. Obviously, some sports are more dangerous than others. About 3.5 million children ages 14 and younger get hurt annually playing sports or participating in activities.
That is a lot of kids. How do we stay safe and still have fun?
That is why we have the perfect guest here for all of you, Dr. Ben Weitz.
Dr. Ben Weitz, an expert in functional medicine and sports chiropractic care, who has been practicing in Santa Monica, California for over 36 years. Dr. Weitz is renowned for his work in managing autoimmune diseases and even enhancing gut health using a root cause functional medicine approach, just like us. As the host of the Rational Wellness podcast, Dr. Weitz brings a wealth of knowledge and experience everywhere he goes. So we are so honored to talk to you today.
And I'm honored to be on your show. Thank you.
That's our pleasure.
It's our pleasure.
It's our pleasure.
So, in terms of talking about how can kids avoid injuries in sports, we'll get into the nutrition. But before I do that, I think there's a trend that's a bit of an issue for kids sports, which is that years ago, it was common for kids to play different sports. So they would play one sport in the fall, another sport in the winter, another sport in the spring. And so they would get different types of movements and different types of exercise and different surfaces and
Wow.
Wow.
Can you hear us? Because we can't hear you. Like everything's split. Like it's
Frozen?
frozen.
Split.
Yeah, split from.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, we are so honored to talk to you today. This is a topic no one has discussed so far on our podcast. We can't thank you enough for your time and wisdom today. So we would love to know your story. Okay. Uh-oh.
Oh,
Hello, guys.
well, he left. So we have lots of technical difficulties, clearly.
Very technical
Alright.
difficulties.
I know, because I think...
Yeah, Zana, what are you doing track?
Well, I run, and I run, and I run some more. That's like doing a cross
Yeah, I know,
country.
and I think a lot of people, especially when they run a lot, then they get like ACL injuries, right? sometimes.
Yeah. That's why we need to learn how to advance your game.
Advance your game.
Yeah, advance your game.
Yeah, I know, especially
Yeah.
in I think high school, you see a lot of people with like what do you call crutches because of the playing sports, and that's why it's so important that we have
You
this
should be
amazing
safe.
guest. Yeah, it's important to be
safe.
safe. We have this amazing guest. Yeah, he's back. What did you do? Okay. Oh, he's back.
Hello.
Okay, guys, I don't know what happened there. I guess the time machine got rid of me, but so I guess we hopefully can edit that out. So what I was saying was there's a current trend in kid sports where kids tend to play the same sport year round instead of rotating different sports. And when you rotate different sports, when you play baseball on the grass, you play basketball on the hardwood surface, you play another sport, and you're using different muscles and you're using those muscles differently, you tend to get more of a balanced stress on your musculoskeletal system. When you just do one sport, let's say you just play basketball, and the current trend is if you want to get really good at a sport, you just do that one sport all year round. So whereas you might in the past have only had basketball in the winter, now there's a summer league and a fall league and a spring league, and you have trainers and you're doing the same sport all year round. So you tend to overuse the same set of muscles and put the same set of stresses on your body. So to try to counter that, if it's possible to play different sports at different times of the year, that would be a good thing to create more of a balance. And also use the gym to try to strengthen different muscles than the ones you're necessarily just using in that sport, as well as work on flexibility and balance. Oh, God, we're having all kinds of problems. Now I can't hear you guys. I cannot hear what you're saying. Did you flip a switch last time? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Oh, there you are.
Oh, I can hear us.
Can you hear us?
Now I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
All right, perfect.
Technical
Okay.
Oh my God,
difficulties.
these technical difficulties.
Oh my gosh, this has been okay. So
Hi.
let's go into sports nutrition. You want to go into sports nutrition?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Okay,
tell us
great.
more about that.
Well, the number one thing that we have to talk about in terms of nutrition is trying to have a balanced eating plan, making sure that you're not consuming too much sugar so you don't get these big fluctuations in blood sugar. And I think it's common for kids these days to eat too much ultra processed food what we used to call junk food. Now we call it ultra processed food, but we're talking about chips and cookies and candies and things with sugar, and those kinds of foods are going to lead to all sorts of sugar imbalances, and that's going to affect your performance. So it's important to have a balanced nutrition that includes healthy fats, sufficient proteins to help you recover and build muscle, and making sure you have good lower glycemic carbohydrates that can give you balanced energy over a prolonged period of time.
So before we keep going, can you tell us more about your story? We would love to hear your story.
Tell me about my story.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you want to know? How did I
How
get
did
it?
you get into treating people, or how did you get into the sports medicine, especially with food?
Okay. So I was in college trying to figure out what I was going to do. And I had considered getting a PhD in philosophy, and actually was accepted into a program to study for a PhD in philosophy. And I had some experience with chiropractic, and I had considered medicine, but I didn't like the drugs and surgical approach of conventional medicine. And chiropractic was very appealing to me. I had already been weight training and exercising and got into bodybuilding, and I could use my knowledge of the muscles and the musculoskeletal system. And I also learned about how to manipulate your body composition with diet, specifically for body composition purposes to start with. And so I got into that, and I realized that chiropractic would be a great way to utilize that knowledge I already had, and I would be able to help people without drugs and surgery. So I decided to go back to school, and I had to take some additional courses in physiology and anatomy. And I went to chiropractic college, and I haven't looked back. I became a certified sports chiropractor, and I got involved in nutrition. One of the things that really got me involved in nutrition was the first time I went to a seminar with Dr. Jeffrey Bland, who is the father of functional medicine, and it just blew my mind. All the neurons were buzzing after that seminar, and I was so excited about the possibility of things we could do with nutrition to help people improve their health.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
Amazing.
And then I started listening. Dr. Bland had a monthly audio tape series. So this is something that you guys don't know about. We would get these little cassette tapes, and every car had a cassette tape player, and I would put the cassette tape in and listen to Dr. Jeffrey Bland's, I think it was called Preventative Medicine Update. Then it became Functional Medicine Update. It had a number of different names, and that was before we had podcasts. Now we have podcasts.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Amazing.
So a lot of athletes right now are dealing with a lot of stress and negativity and a lot of terrible food. So what can athletes do to improve their health and to optimize their sports ability naturally?
Right. So you've got to try to focus on getting lots of vegetables, number one. Most of us underconsume vegetables. We really should be having 10 to 15 servings a day of vegetables and fruits. Number two, we need to make sure we get good quality protein. Best sources, in my opinion, of quality protein is going to be lean meats, chicken, fish, eggs, quality low-fat dairy products. And then we want to make sure we're getting healthy fats from olive oil, avocado, nuts, and seeds. And then we want to get good quality carbohydrates from brown rice, beans, other low glycemic grains, quinoa, etc., and stay away from the junk food, the sugar. Most kids do not need Gatorade unless they're exercising for over an hour in heat. It's just really an excuse for drinking some sweetened beverage. Soda is one of the worst things you can do for yourself. All these beverages are sweetened with high fructose corn syrup, which is even worse than regular sugar.
So, I mean, everybody nowadays eats a lot of junk food, and a lot of people they think, oh, it gives me more energy, but does it actually help them or does it hurt them?
Just like when you said Gatorade, it's advertised to give you more energy, but what it really does is it also like lowers you down, like it makes you worse.
Yeah. So what happens anytime you consume sugar or what we call high glycemic carbohydrates? Glycemic carbohydrates that quickly turn into blood sugar is you get this big spike in your blood sugar. The pancreas recognizes that and it secretes insulin. Insulin brings the blood sugar back down. Now, if you have a lower glycemic carbohydrate, you'll get a gradual increase in your glucose. Insulin will be secreted and it'll gradually go down. And you'll have this gradual, nice wave effect throughout the day. And you'll maintain a good range of blood sugar. But if your blood sugar spikes, then you're going to get a big drop. And when it drops, you're going to be starved for carbohydrates. Your energy is going to go down. You're going to have hypoglycemia. At that point, your performance is going to be decreased. So you don't want those sharp waves up and down. You want to smooth it out by getting balanced, lower glycemic carbohydrates along with healthy fats and proteins.
So, do you think that eating more naturally helps with more energy? Because I know personally for me, sometimes if I play sports or I go on a run, some of my friends, they're like, how are you so energetic? Like they'll be lying on the floor and I'll still be like bouncing around, ready for more. So do you think that eating more naturally actually affects your energy levels?
Yes, especially over the long run. And that's what we want, the long run, because over the long run, eating junk food ends up keeping your body from working properly. I just had a discussion with another doctor about fatty liver. So eating too many carbohydrates can lead to fatty liver. Your liver can't function right. You're not going to produce energy. You're not going to make the proper proteins. Your body's not going to work right. So eating junk food over a long period of time is going to cause all kinds of health problems, diabetes, obesity, etc. Now, I mentioned Gatorade, and it is important to make sure that you have electrolytes, but you can get electrolytes without a bunch of sugar. Not to mention the fact that Gatorade is very high in sodium, but it's not as balanced with potassium and also having modest amounts of some of the other electrolytes like magnesium.
Yeah, also all those artificial colors. Like, what is red 40 and blue 1? Like, what treated that?
Absolutely. Artificial flavoring, artificial colors, artificial sweeteners, all that stuff is terrible for you. I don't know who even wants to eat a food that's blue or green or purple.
You know, it's funny, right? Then sometimes at school, some kids will have like popsicles or some kind of artificial stuff, and their tongue will turn blue, right? Have you seen that?
Yeah, all the time.
How is that natural if your tongue turns blue, like bright blue?
It's not natural. All these chemicals are harmful to us, potentially. They're toxins. We need to try to avoid it. We should just stick with food that grows in the ground.
Yeah. That's our mission, to empower and show teens and kids that you can live a better life actually eating more natural foods. You know,
yeah. You'll be healthier. You'll do better in school, because when you get that blood sugar dip we just talked about, you won't be able to concentrate in school. You won't get as high a grades, and in your sports you'll not only do better, but you'll have fewer injuries.
So how can kids stay safe when playing sports?
But still have fun.
Well, you've got to try to eat healthy, and you need to make sure when you play your sports that you're well hydrated.
So you want to have a large glass of water before you go out there, especially in the heat. Make sure you stay properly hydrated. Get an electrolyte product that doesn't have excessive amount of sugar in it and is more balanced than just sodium. And make sure you warm up properly. Make sure you do your stretching. Make sure you're in good condition by exercising through the week and not just on the day you exercise.
Also, I know a lot of people, when they talk about like becoming better at sports and becoming more fit, they talk protein, protein, protein. And they have protein shakes, they put protein powder, they have all this kind of weird stuff to have protein into their diet. What do you think about that?
It depends on where you are, how much exercise you're doing, how much weight training you're doing, how much protein you'll need. So sometimes adding a protein shake can be a useful adjunct, but you don't want to rely just on protein shakes or protein bars. You want to be getting quality protein in your diet, and I would recommend at every meal that you get at least 15 or 20 grams of quality protein.
So I know we've been talking about what we do, but have you seen any success in who you work with when it comes to diet and living a healthier and more natural lifestyle?
Absolutely. Hundreds of patients who are feeling better, are healthier, and have better performance in sports as well.
So do you think that kids, because I'm guessing most of these people are adults, right? Or
yes, I've worked with kids. My daughter was a gymnast, so I worked with a whole bunch of gymnasts. I worked with professional sprinters. There were some professional sprinters that used to train at Gold's, and they used to come to me for nutrition. So I've worked with quite a number of athletes, including some professional athletes.
so do you think that, because I know a lot of kids, right? And they think, oh, let me eat some junk food now, and then when I get older, then I'll become healthy. Once I go pro, then I'll eat better. Do you think that it's necessary and important for kids to eat healthier when they're kids?
Look, the chronic diseases that parents suffer with start during childhood. Coronary artery disease, diabetes, fatty liver. These things start early. So we have record number of kids with obesity, with diabetes. So start eating healthy and make that your lifestyle for the rest of your life.
You are so empowering.
So empowering. So I know when I run sometimes I get cramps, but I think what helps me is magnesium. Do you think these certain supplements can help you, like you fix cramps and stuff?
And improve performance?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. As I mentioned, when you take a balanced electrolyte supplement, products like Gatorade are really mostly sodium with a little bit of potassium and no magnesium. You do have to be careful. If you take too much magnesium, you can get some diarrhea. So you take a moderate amount and you take one that's highly absorbable. Magnesium glycinate is super absorbable. So that's a good choice. And 50 to 100 milligrams once or twice a day. You can also get a magnesium gel that you can apply to your muscles topically, and that can be beneficial as well. But magnesium.
That's really interesting.
You know, when I was in swimming, they used to tell us you should eat lots of bananas because bananas help with cramps. And I didn't believe them at first, but once I started to have more bananas, actually the cramps started to get better. What, do you get cramps when running?
Yes.
Usually, like bananas and like water help.
Because most kids nowadays they're dehydrated.
Yes.
They're very
Very dehydrated.
Like, oh yeah, I'll drink something. I'll drink it. And they start drinking Coca-Cola.
Yeah, well, keep going on.
And you're like, oh, you actually that's really helping. But they don't know.
It's like
when it really doesn't.
You're back.
We're back. What is going on? I have no idea. I've never had this happen before. I never used this StreamYard. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. Usually it works pretty good, but I don't know. Maybe today there's just something with it.
Yeah, I don't know. My internet didn't go down. I don't know what happened. Anyway,
So we were talking about getting cramps, especially when playing
Yes.
sport. So how can we help with that?
number one, you got to make sure you're hydrated, especially if it's hot weather. And you often don't realize you're thirsty. So you have to drink water ahead of time. So before you play sports, drink a large glass of water or two before you even get to do your warm-ups. And then if it's hot out, you should be sipping water off and on, and certainly at halftime. And if you're going to play multiple games, you're going to exercise for more than an hour, you definitely need to have an electrolyte mix. And that electrolyte, as I mentioned, should not just include sodium, should be balanced with potassium and have modest amounts of magnesium and some of the other minerals as well. Also, as I think we mentioned already, get one that doesn't have a lot of sugar, that doesn't have artificial sweeteners or colors or other artificial ingredients.
Also, ultra processed foods. Do you think they also are really bad for your performance?
100%. We know that. That I don't know how they switched from being called junk food to ultra processed foods, but that's the new term. And 100%, they're garbage. I don't know why. If we really cared about kids, we would make it illegal to sell ultra processed foods.
I love that.
I'm all for taxing it and using that money to promote health.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we call ultra processed foods. We don't even call them foods. We call them fake food.
Like, it's not really
that's a good
food.
term. They're not food.
They should be labeled food.
Yeah, anything that has 15 ingredients in it, anything that has more than one or two ingredients is something you should most likely avoid.
Even Lay's on their, I think the bag and the packaging, it doesn't even say chips, potato chips. I think it's potato flavored something or whatever. But you can search it up. They don't have, they're not able to say chips because they're not actually potato.
Right. I'm sure they're not. And most of the food sold by these restaurants that sell junk food are not really food.
Mm-hmm.
And they're over processed with sodium, with fat, with sugar.
And you have even McDonald's French fries, which you would think would only have potato, salt, and oil, but they
it really
turn
has 6
18 ingredients. Around 8 more than that.
What do you put besides
potato, salt, and oil?
Not only that, but my understanding is they take the potatoes, they soak them in sugar, they fry them so they get more fat, then they freeze them, then they take them out and they fry them again so they get even more fat.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
I personally have felt that chiropractic care has helped my overall health. Other modalities that can help with athletes?
Chiropractic care is super beneficial because you get to balance out your skeletal structure. If your structure is out of balance, if your hips are out of alignment, if your spine is out of alignment, if the joints aren't moving well, then they're not going to function right. Besides chiropractic care, you want to keep your muscles healthy. That means keep them strong, keep them flexible, as well as doing your stretching. Everybody should be doing stretching every day, and we should be doing some balance training and some strength training.
So
where can we learn more about you and your amazing work?
Thank you. You can come to my website, drweitz.com. You can listen to the Rational Wellness Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can see it on YouTube. 375 episodes and going strong.
Remember to go definitely check that out.
Yeah, go check
We'll
that
get
out
to
right
300.
now.
We'll get to 300 episodes one day. We're very small.
One day. So my chiropractor used to also use cupping, and we saw some athletes also use that to help them. What are your thoughts on that?
You know what? I've never used cupping. It's traditionally something that's associated with acupuncture. So I've always had an acupuncturist in the office who does cupping. It seems to be a popular thing. It's kind of interesting. Every year in the Olympics, there was like a new thing that was really hot. One year, everybody had the K tape and they had all this colored tape. And it seemed like the next Olympics, everybody had cupping.
I know it's crazy. Sometimes you see people with just like the spots on their legs or spots on their arms, and
Yeah.
But when I used it, it did work. It was I think it removes. I'm not sure how it works, but it's a very interesting type of medicine that I think is very useful as well.
Yeah, I personally have not used cupping, but I think anything that's natural that can help healing is a good thing.
So athletes, they deal with a lot of stress.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the best thing that an athlete can do to manage stress, especially if they're like a teen or a kid?
Well, there are ways to deal with stress, such as through number one, making sure you have good sleep, as well as breathing and meditation exercises. So a simple thing you can do is you can go to Google Dr. Andrew Weil 478 breathing technique. It's very simple to do this technique. You breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds. You hold your breath for 7 and breathe out through your mouth for 8 seconds. And you do that 2 or 3 times and you'll feel your stress melting away.
Wow, you are so inspirational.
So inspirational.
And so thank you again so much for a super powerful episode, right, Mont?
Super powerful.
Yeah,
Even with the technical difficulties.
Thanks, guys. Sorry about the technology stuff. I don't know why that happened, but
don't worry. You have done so many podcasts, so we would love to know your biggest tips that you learned in interviewing so many guests.
eat different colored vegetables. Think about eating a new vegetable every week.
Well, we love the diversity. We say eat the rainbow. That's what we call it.
There you go. Thank you, guys.
It's our pleasure.
It's our
My
pleasure.
pleasure.
Okay. Bye.
Oh.
And thank you again.
And thank you for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Zane. Sorry.
I'm Abdullah.
And I'm Imad.
Follow my family and I on social media. Holistic Mom D. Look out for my mom's book, The Holistic. No. Yeah,
Wow,
The
yeah.
Teen Health Revolution. That's our book. Coming out 2025. Also, we should also probably recap Dr. Ben's key points.
Sadly, he's not here today.
Guys, just left. But it's okay.
What?
Chronic disease that our parents are dealing with, it starts with us. Number 1, focus on veggies. You should eat about 10 to 15 servings a day. Eat a new vegetable every week. 2 to 3. Get enough protein and with grass-fed options. Number 4 is to get a lot of healthy fats in your diet. Good healthy fats.
Make sure to eat healthy carbs. Stay away from sugar and sweetened beverages.
Make sure you are hydrated before you play sports. Make sure you drink water. Stay away from the sweetened electrolytes and sugary drinks.
So thank you again for joining us. Goodbye.
Bye.
See ya.